Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and thanks for joining us today, January 29th, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. Well, today we have a number of celebrations, and the first one is Notre Dame de Châtillon-sur-Saône in France. It's said to date back to 1130, right? So this comes to us from the Abbot Orsini. And they note that Saint Bernard had great devotion to this image on account of a miracle which it wrought in his favor. Now, other than that, I couldn't really find any information about this feast. There is an abbey that I think was the same name, which was started, and the abbey was cared for by a congregation that Saint Bernard had started. But other than that, I wasn't able to find too much. Next, we'll go a long ways away to Quezon City in the Philippines, where they celebrate Our Lady of Lourdes. Why is that? Well, in the 1800s, a statue of Our Lady of Lourdes that had been sculpted by a Filipino artist occupied a side altar of a little Capuchin chapel in the old Intramuros district of Manila. It attracted so many worshippers, so many people went there to pray, that the friars built a larger church dedicated to Our Lady of Lourdes, dedicated in 1898, and they put the statue above the main altar. The shrine was very popular for devotions, for prayers, and for weddings, until it was destroyed in World War II. However, the beloved statue was saved, and after the war, the Capuchins gave it to a new home nearby in Quezon City. The cornerstone of that church was placed on January 29th, 1950. And the Archbishop of Manila dedicated the new Lourdes Church in 1951. In 1997, it was designated the Philippine National Shrine of Our Lady of Lourdes. In 2019, so very recently, by order of Pope Francis, the statue was crowned on August 22nd, 2020, right? Invoking Mary, health of the sick, Queen of Lourdes, the presiding bishop prayed for deliverance from COVID-19. The shrine celebrates its feast day on February 11th, the anniversary of the first apparition to Saint Bernadette in France in 1858. But remember, this was the day the cornerstone of the new church was laid back in 1950. And last but not least, in Rio Grande do Norte in Brazil, they celebrate Nossa Senhora dos Impossíveis. There you go. That's my attempt at Portuguese. I think that's Our Lady of Things That Are Impossible. Well, the statue arrived there on this day in 1755. However, her feast day is November 21st. So that is what we are celebrating in the Marian world today, January 29th. For today's Marian meditation, taken from the book by Father Ildefonso Villar, we continue with meditation 32 on the Magnificat. And here, Father Ildefonso has us think about Mary's Sublime prayer, which is the Magnificat. How often would you like to pray as your Heavenly Mother did? Here, then, you have a marvelous example of this most high prayer. It is not mere supposition or imagination. In order to speak with God, you have the very words of Mary, those she uttered on that occasion. Words that were uttered aloud by her, so that we might learn how to pour out our heart in the presence of God. One day the apostles asked the Divine Master to teach them how to pray. For them, he composed the Our Father. Since it has been composed by God himself, no other prayer can be compared with it. Now imagine that as the apostles petitioned Jesus, so you too requested Our Lady to teach you how to pray. And then she, a model of prayer, volunteering to teach you, sings the Magnificat. If the Our Father is the prayer of Jesus, the Magnificat is Mary's prayer. Therefore, next to the Our Father and the Hail Mary, there can be no better prayer than Mary's prayer, Mary's canticle, the Magnificat. And lastly, we consider the fourth point, Mary's words. Finally, in this canticle we possess Mary's longest speech. In the Gospel, only a few casual words of Mary are quoted, but they are so few that we, her children, do not feel satisfied. Instead, in the Magnificat, we have neither an abstract nor a sample. We have the very words of Mary. In fact, all the words she uttered on that occasion. There seems to be some deep reason for all this. It appears as though she wanted to show us that although she was sparing in words whenever she spoke with men or with angels, as though she would not waste time in idle words, but would limit herself to the use of the most essential expressions only. Yet, when speaking with God, she was not thus restrained. Here she measures neither time nor words, but just lets her heart speak. Meditate on her prudence when speaking to man, and on her love when speaking with God. Try to follow this prudence when speaking with men, as well as her love when dealing with God, by prolonging your prayer instead of growing tired of it. Relish your conversation with heaven rather than the idle talk of the earth. Finally, ask her that you may always love her canticle, because it is hers, and because it is inspired by the Holy Spirit. Ask the grace to recite it with that devotion and fervor that she had when she first sang it in the presence of God. So for today's reading from The Admirable Heart of Mary by St. John Eudes, we can continue reading chapter 2 in the fourth part, where it talks about the heart of Jesus Christ as the foundation of devotion to the admirable heart of his mother. And here in the second chapter, we're talking about some divine attributes which are mirrored in Mary's admirable heart. Yesterday we spoke about his divine love, and now we'll hear some other attributes. Let's hear what St. John Eudes has to say. Mary's admirable heart is, first of all, a living image of divine unity. God is alone and unique in the infinite eminence of all his grandeurs. He is the only mighty, the only good, the only wise, merciful, just, immortal, and blessed being, the King of kings and the Lord of lords. Likewise, there is in the whole universe only one heart of the one Mother of God, unique in dignity, excellence, and perfections. It surpasses in power, wisdom, goodness, mercy, piety, love, charity, and every other virtue and eminent quality, the most perfect heart of any angel or saint. The unique heart of Our Lady never knew any other love than the purest love of God. It never suffered from the multiplicity of superfluous thoughts, aimless desires, and vain affections, which usually fill and divide the miserable hearts of the children of Adam. Her heart held one thought, one purpose, one will, one intention, one single affection, and one desire only: to please God and to fulfill in all things and everywhere his adorable will. Thus did this heavenly spouse wound, ravish, and possess completely the heart of her adorable bridegroom, as he himself declares, "Thou hast wounded my heart, my sister, my spouse. Thou hast wounded my heart with one of thy eyes, and with one hair of thy neck." That's the Song of Songs of chapter 4, verse 9. That is, by loving and seeking me in all things, and in having in thy heart but one thought, intention, and affection, to do everywhere and at all times the things that are most pleasing to me. The admirable heart of our great Queen bears a true resemblance to divine simplicity. Duplicity, disguise, deceit, falsehood, curiosity, singularity, worldly wisdom, mundane prudence, the self-love which prompts so many faulty thoughts and reflections concerning ourselves and our actions. These and all other things contrary to holy simplicity never had the least part in the heart of the heavenly dove. She was always filled, possessed, and animated by the spirit of truth, sincerity, candor, and simplicity, that her Son bade us follow when he said, "Be ye as simple as doves." That's Matthew 10:16.
Hello, and we hope that you enjoyed listening to our Marian podcast. In the spirit of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, we say to you that there is no greater delight than to spread the devotion of Our Lady. We hope you share these sentiments and encourage you greatly to share with a loved one. Know that you are always in our prayers, and we ask that you keep us in yours. God bless.